I'm Leon Lovelace, and this is Unstoppable Force. I got a news story for you, and it's about John Ossoff taking a big L to Karen Handel. And I needed to talk about it because I predicted that Ossoff would win, and it was mostly just because of Karen Handel's actually, odd, admittance of the truth about how conservatives, don't give a shit about the people and they're not for a livable wage. That's her quotes. Or not for a living wage because they supposedly need to make sure businesses can create jobs by not paying them a livable wage. So of course, we all know that's bullshit. But I just thought, just because of that, he'd win. But of course, I was wrong. And a lot of it is just because he's a neoliberal. And that's it. A lot of people are going to say that, oh, he's a centrist and he's a corporatist. Now let's just let's just cut to the heart of the matter. Quite a few of these Democrats, they're neoliberals. And that's why we don't like them. That's why a lot of the nation is just sick of the fucking Democrats and the Democratic Party. Because some of what he ran on was, well, one, I read this article from the dailycoast.com, and the author, he was upset because Bernie Sanders didn't endorse him. Because he was saying, oh, well, if you look at his website, he's got, these progressive policies he has on his website, so that's why you need to vote for him. And he endorsed him at the end of the article. But of course, when you look at some of the issues he mentions about he's for these things, he doesn't get specifics on solving those issues. And one other big problem is Ossoff wasn't even for single payer health care. It's around what? At least 38% of Republicans are in favor of single payer health care, and he's not for that. He's running as a Democrat. We really know he's a neoliberal. He should have really ran as a Republican. And in the Democratic Party, I think it's around 65 to 70% of Democrats are in favor of single payer health care. So he's really not listening to what the people want, at least for health care. He's listening to his donors about health care because he just talked about he wants to make the Affordable Care Act better. Not let's just go for single payer. That's a winning strategy on health care, and that's what he should have been for. He talks about, or this article talks about on his website, he believes the minimum wage should be a livable wage, but he can't even say $15 an hour minimum wage is what I'm fighting for. That's what the people of Georgia need. In the 6th district and in the whole state of Georgia, we need $15 an hour minimum wage to make sure that we could eliminate at least some of the income inequality and the poverty that's destroying people's lives in the state of Georgia and in the 6th district. I'm fighting for those people. He didn't say anything like that at all. And then one thing that it mentions that just totally reveals as he's just a neoliberal is that he supports repealing wasteful, anti-competitive special interest subsidies that favors businesses with ties to lobbyists over new small businesses. So instead of just saying we're going to raise taxes on corporations to make sure that they're actually helping out the state of Georgia, and we're actually going to put that money into educating the children of Georgia, especially the poor children, make sure their education is as good as the wealthy children. That's going to give those children a good chance to have a good paying job when they get older. We're also going to use that money to make sure that everybody in Georgia could get a college education. So we could eliminate some of the income inequality by getting everybody a good chance to have a good paying job. We're also going to use that money that we're taxing the corporations and the wealthy people making, say, over $150,000 a year, something like that. We're going to tax them more. And what we're going to do is going to create some green new jobs. We're going to do a green new deal so we can make sure that people that don't go to college, they're going to have a good job, because we're not going to crush people just because they don't want to or they're not able to go to college. because we're going to lift up the poor and the working class people here in the state of Georgia. We're going to do that in this 6th district. Even though there's a lot of wealthy people here, maybe there's, they talked about how the, median income was $80,000 for most people. But he still needs to come hard and say, for all the people that are making under $50,000 or $40,000 a year, I got you. We're going to make sure we're going to put policies to create some good paying jobs here so we can make sure that any poor and middle class or working class people here can have a better life. And then his concession speech, it didn't have not one lick of policy about how he's going to keep fighting, he's going to keep talking to people and try to get people to make sure they keep pushing for progressive policies and make sure that we're trying to get rid of the drug wars, because we need to stop putting black people and brown people into jail a lot more than white people over using recreational drugs. We're going to reform criminal justice system to make sure that the police are treating black people or brown people just as good as white people. Make sure they're not harassing them. Make sure they're not, making sure they're not shooting black people and brown people just because they're black and brown, because that's just a criminal injustice, especially when they get off and they're not getting put in jail and charged for murder. We're going to make sure outside prosecutors are prosecuting the police whenever these issues come up in the state of Georgia and in the 6th district, because we need to make sure that if these people committed a crime or did wrongdoing, they need to be charged and held to account, and not just have this issue swept under the rug because their prosecutor buddies are looking out for them over the people of Georgia. He didn't say anything like this. So I'm going to put some of his concession speech about all his platitudes right here.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. The more than 12,000 of you who, as darkness has crept across this planet, have provided a beacon of hope for people here in Georgia, for people across the country, and for people around the world. This small community in Georgia, which has become the epicenter of politics, sometimes to my chagrin, for months now. And it's had nothing to do with me. It never has. It's about you. It's about an extraordinary community at an extraordinary moment in history. The first opportunity in this country to make a statement about values that can still unite people.
And also, let's not forget to mention that he was able to raise $23 million for this special election, and it was the most expensive congressional election in U.S. history, and the Democratic Party and Ossoff still lost, because it's not about raising the damn money. It's about the policies of fighting for the people of that state and that district and for the people of the United States as a whole. Since he was fighting for those people, since he was just fighting for the middle class and the upper middle class and the elites that Karen Handel was fighting for, they were going to choose her, the real Republican, over the neoliberal John Ossoff. And that's why he lost.